Bad Cat Audio. Hi, and welcome to Take What You Need, the podcast. This episode highlights Aniah Coleman, who is an astrologer. And I found her on TikTok, and she's got quite a bit of a following. And what I really appreciated about her message was how approachable she makes this topic and how friendly and just personable it all really becomes when I see her face show up on my feed. I also loved when we dove a little bit deeper into the conversation about what a purist she is about it and how it's sacred and the energy and the teachings need to be protected. And she just is such a honorable person, and I was really excited. My brain was like sparking with so many thoughts and ideas when speaking with her. So I hope that you guys will be able to take something from this and learn something and be intrigued as much as I was. So with that, I invite you to get into a nice, comfortable seated position. You can soften your gaze or close your eyes. There is no right or wrong way to show up in this moment. Take a deep breath in the nose and let it out with a sigh through the mouth. And I invite you to come as you are and take what you need.
Thank you so much for being on this episode of Take What You Need, the podcast. We are such fans of you in the studio here, seeing you do your astrology on TikTok. One of Maddie's friends had been like, oh, you guys should feature her on your podcast. She's really good. And I was like, okay, let me look it up. And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. Gotta have you. So welcome, Aniah Coleman. We are so happy to have you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here. I really appreciate it.
I love the way that you show up with such ease, and it makes things so approachable. I feel like for me, I'm a bit of a novice when it comes to astrology, and like you pick up things, in your like spiritual journey. But when you show up in the space and when I see your messages, it makes me so excited because it just feels so like, I'm like, oh, like even I can figure this out, or like, oh, like this makes sense to me. And it doesn't feel as so daunting.
That's exactly like my goal. Yeah. That's one of the things that I like to present myself as, like being a person who helps like convey astrology in a different sort of way than maybe people are used to it being spoken about, like more of in like a demystified way. I kind of like go back and forth between wanting to gatekeep astrology and want to keep it mystical and mysterious to everyone, because not everyone deserves to be, brought in on this amazing framework, because it's very powerful, and you don't want like weirdos getting a hold of it and doing weird stuff with it. But I teeter between that and also like wanting to make it as accessible and open to as many people as possible and demystify it and rationalize it in a way that makes people feel like, oh, I can totally learn this. And it's like, not so much to say that it's not still going to be complex and like it's not still going to be something you're going to have to really buckle down and do your homework on and do your own research on, and you're not going to have someone holding your hand through the process. It's going to, if you care about learning astrology, it's just like any other framework. You have to put time and effort and work into it. So not to say that I'm like trying to hold people's hands, because it's still complex. Astrology is hard, but it is a passion of mine to try to make things a little bit more digestible and accessible to people when it comes to learning like very confounding, confusing astrological terminology.
Absolutely. I feel like sometimes I'll check out once I hear like it's conjunct Uranus, Kazemi.
I knew you were going to say Kazemi.
You knew it.
That's one of the things that really gets people is the Kazemi. They're like, what is the exact criteria of a Kazemi? And like, how do I even synthesize this if I figure out what's the exact criteria of it? And
Yes.
yeah, I just knew that was gonna be one of the things that we were gonna say.
Yeah, I just find like even with something as simple, I found myself maybe finding more interest in it now, where to be like, oh, the moon is sitting in Sagittarius right now. How do you utilize that? Like I have like the Channy app. And so of course it
Mm.
tells you whenever the moon moves from one side to the next and what to do in that situation. And I do. But yeah, there is so much power
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this study. And I think it's interesting. Like, yes, absolutely. Like everyone deserves to have like their moment with it, or at least like to start. But it is a study. It is a study and it requires dedication and passion and time and effort.
Exactly, 100%.
Mhm. So how did you get your start with astrology? How did like from, I don't know, like what's your origin story here?
Yeah, that's a funny. I feel like I've always sort of been like a stargazer. I've always been into just looking up at the sky. Like even when I was a kid, I just remember like on full moons, I heard this thing like if you put a cup outside your front door during a full moon, you'll get $1 the next day in the cup. And I'm like 7 years old thinking like the moon gifted me $1. And I was like, my mom. But just like little things like that. Always been very into the sky and very into zodiac signs and um the sun sign horoscopes and like magazines and things like that. That's kind of what I grew up on. But then I think maybe around like 2017, 18, I started to realize there was so much more depth to it. And started to learn more about like what my sun, moon, and rising meant. And then in 2020, during lockdown, during when we had all this time in the world and we were bored out of our minds, I was like, you know what? Let me really dive deep into this rabbit hole. And I did, and I have not crawled out of it since. And that's how I found traditional astrology, ancient astrology, learning like the real fundamentals and foundations of where like astrology actually started and like how a lot of the astrology that we see in modern day culture, especially pop culture, is just really not exactly congruent with like the origins of astrology and like what astrology is actually trying to tell us and what the goal of it is. I mean, there's obviously a lot of different goals that people can have with the use of astrology because it's a neutral practice. You can use it for a million different things, but yeah, I have a lot of qualms when it comes to like pop astrology, pop culture, sun sign, like horoscopes and stuff. And they're fun and cute. And, it's fun to have fun with things, but I do feel like, it makes people not take astrology as seriously as it deserves to be taken in a lot of ways.
I love that energy, especially with that type of practice because it is sacred. And I know right now it's very trendy to be very spiritual and it's very trendy to, be, you know, a moon girly or a star girly or whatever. And like there's more. Yeah.
Starseed, like, yeah.
Which is, there's room for everybody. It's like kind of what the idea that I prescribe to. There's room for everybody. Like if it's for you, it's for you. And I can't tell you that it's not for you, but I just appreciate the like honoring the sanctity of the practice and really like honoring the tradition of what it is and really protecting at its core, which I think is like very cool. And like it's just like I don't often come across people that are so like dedicated to the craft to where they're like it's like it cannot be convoluted, it cannot be watered down, like it can't be like a pop culture bullshit. Like I love that seriousness because
Yeah.
it speaks to your honor.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's really kind of you to say. I have gotten into situations where I've made TikToks where I'm just like, astrology needs to be taken more seriously. Like it deserves so much more respect than it's actually being given. And I'll have people in the comments being like, why can't we just have fun? Like, and I had a really funny comment sometime at some point, like a couple years ago, where someone told me I was very militant about astrology. Like, I was like, you know what? okay, I like that. I am militant, and that is okay. And I think it's nice to have fun with astrology. I'm not saying like you can't like look at your zodiac sign memes and find relatability in them, because there's truth to some of those memes, and they're fun and they're funny. But I think, you know, at the same time, we can also see it as a framework that deserves respect, and it has so much validity behind it. And I don't know, I wish that people kind of saw it as more of a tool, than just like a personality like booster kind of things. It's just like a tool for some people to use as like, I don't know, to use as a personality trait kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm a Gemini, so this and this and this and this and this. And it's like, no, bestie, like you're not just a Gemini. You have an entire birth chart. Like, why are you surrounding your entire personality off of one planet in your birth chart? Like, you're missing so many other details.
It's like this is the piece of the pie, it's not the whole pie.
Exactly. It's like a crumb of a piece of the pie, to be
Totally.
like quite honest, like to be frank.
Yeah, your sliver. You're like you're missing a whole thing. But yeah, it definitely can feel like a party trick was kind of the energy that I was feeling like when you were speaking. Like it's like, oh, I just throw it out at parties. Like I remember kind of navigating through my own, spiritual journey and being an intuitive person. I was at a party once and my friend was like, "Oh, she reads people. She does it like she'll read you." And I'm like, "Oh no, 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 no." I'm like, unless you want to talk about your father wound, like this is not like this isn't just like a funny little this isn't a funny day, day party. Like we're gonna get to the core things and it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get weird, like you don't want that. Yeah. Not at this party, at least. Yeah.
Not we'll bring down the vibe of this party real quick.
We'll bring it down.
But yeah, I mean, I actually just tweeted something similar to that a few days ago, where I was saying like, I know that astrology is inherently like an interpretive tool, and it has many more like complex and valuable use than just being a game or a party trick. But it do be hyping me up when I accurately guess someone's zodiac signs. I love it so much. I know it's not a party trick. I know that's not what astrology is for, but I love when I'm able to talk to someone for a few minutes and be like, are you an Aquarius moon? Like, do you have your moon squaring Mars, perhaps? Or is like your Saturn in the 12th house? Like, I love when I end up being right, because, I love being right. I'm a Virgo, but it's just really satisfying to be able to accurately guess someone's placements. But again, there can be fun and cute things that come out of astrology, of course. I'm not here to be the person to say there's absolutely no need for that, because like it I mean, I like the seriousness of it, and I like to take things serious when it comes to my practice with astrology, because it is just a huge part of my life, something I'm really passionate about. But at the same time, I don't want to lose all of my like, my silliness. So yeah, I think it's important to put that in there, because I don't want to just sound militant, quote unquote militant, about astrology.
Right. Well, so many realities can exist at the same time, especially in this work. And it can still be fun and it can still be enjoyable. It should be. And it could still be protected and seen as, yeah, like you said, like valid and all that good stuff. I wanted to touch on your TikTok fame.
Oh God, fame is a hilarious word.
I'm just curious, like, what was that like for you? Like, how did your TikTok journey kind of start up until this point? Because now I see you and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know her, and like that's so exciting and fun. Like, what is that like for you?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so it started out again in lockdown, pandemic times, 2020. I was like, what is this TikTok thing? And then, I got TikTok, started getting engrossed in it. I was like, you know what? I've always been a content girly. I've always been into like making things. I've always been a creative person. I can do this. I can make something. So I started out like making like really stupid, zany videos where I would take, the TikTok thing where you take random audios and you recontextualize them and you like make it funny in your own little way. So that's what I was kind of trying to do, but like wasn't really taking off. And then so I was like, you know what, why don't I talk about something that I'm passionate about, something that I care about, something that's more authentic to me. Let's talk about astrology. And then the more I started talking about it, the more I saw my audience grow and more people kind of flocking to me and relating to me in that way. And it just kind of started from there and grew from there. And yeah.
How do you manage taking care of yourself while pouring into such a large community?
Oh, that is a really good question. I be taking hiatuses. Like, I don't even care. I do care. I care a lot. That's a huge thing. Um, I do care a lot, but when I'm feeling overwhelmed in any way, because content is a hard job. Like, I'm not saying like it's the hardest job in the world or anything. I'm not naive enough to say that, but like it takes a lot of dedication in the way I do it. Like, I script down all my videos. Like I think about what I want to talk about, I fact check myself, I write it down, I edit, revise for weeks, and then I film, and then I edit, and then I caption, and it's a lot of work. And when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I literally am just like, you know what, this is gonna have to take a back seat for now, and I'm gonna have to tend to other parts of my life, and then I will come back to this when it's time for me to come back to it, when it's auspicious for me to come back to it, in a more consistent way. And if I can't be consistent, I'll make a video here and there, post it out. And it'll be a little bit sporadic, but that's okay because it is literally just social media. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I think that's kind of how I've handled it over the years. I've taken several hiatuses, and then when I come back, like everyone's like, "Hey, nice to see you." And some people don't even notice that I even left it all, because the way TikTok works is like if you're not posting new content, they'll randomly start showing videos from like 2 years ago and put it on people's FYP again. Mm-hmm. And I'll have comments coming in from a video that I recorded and posted like 2-3 years ago, and I'm like, oh, okay. This is still making rotations. Cool.
I love this idea also of just kind of highlighting the reality of things, which I kind of feel like is the theme of this. Like it's kind of shaping up to be the theme of this episode. It's just like showing behind the curtain, kind of like this is kind of the reality of what it is. And like I didn't realize that it was so extensive for you to post your videos, because like as a consumer on TikTok, you think like, oh, like this person literally had this idea, boop boop boop, recorded on the app, bop bop bop, put it on that, like, drop it on my FYP 5 minutes ago. And the reality of it is there's so much more thought that goes into it. And I love that you're fact checking. I love that you're editing. I love that you're careful, and you're the word I'm looking for is you're just thoughtful and thorough. That's a good word. Like you're thorough, and it's like the intention that is behind it is so much more pure than just like, oh, for the funnies, like we're going to learn something today.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you something today.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, because I have worked really hard on my content over the years, and I'm glad to be able to share a little bit behind the veil, because like that is what a lot of people do think. It's like, oh, they just had this idea, they said it on video, posted. It's like, oh, no, that's not how it works for me, at least. Maybe it works like that for some people and I envy them, but like that's not how it works for me. I am a very meticulous person. I got my Virgo stellium. I be overthinking. I need things to be exactly perfect, copacetic, absolutely in excellent order. And also, I have, I know this might come off as a little bit like esoteric to some people who may be listening, but I have a 10th house stellium, and a stellium in astrology is when you have 3 or more planets in one zodiac sign in one house. And I have my sun, Mercury, and Venus all falling in Virgo in my 10th house in my birth chart. And the 10th house has a lot to do with your career, your reputation, your vocation, your public role in life, how you're perceived by others, like how you're coming out and showing yourself off to the world, basically, also has a lot to do with legacy. And so that is a big part of my life. That has been a big part of my life, is making sure that I'm very meticulous, that Virgoan meticulousness and refinement and composure, trying to channel that into being very careful about the things that I put out there, to serve the purpose of the 10th house being my reputation, being my legacy. And I never want to and I'm not perfect, obviously, like I'm gonna make mistakes, and I do make mistakes. And sometimes when I look back at my old content, I'm like, oh, I can't believe I said that. Like, I don't agree with that thought process anymore. I've grown. But yeah, I usually am always trying to be very careful about what I put out there, so that in the future I'm not looking back and being like, eating my words and like being very regretful that I said a certain thing or made a certain video. And luckily I haven't felt that way yet. There's been times where I've like cringed at myself a little bit from old content where I'm like, that was really embarrassing. Why did I like wear that outfit? Or why did I say this thing in this way? Why was I trying to be funny? Like that wasn't funny. Or why did I think this thing astrologically? I don't agree with that astrological opinion anymore. I don't know her. So yeah, I've had those experiences, but I've never had the experience of like, oh my God, I have to delete this video. Like, so it's more just like on a cringe level. It's never like I'm getting canceled kind of thing.
You're doing your own PR.
No, literally my entire life.
Yeah. I think it's so funny, but it's like, it's okay to grow and change your mind. Do you know what I mean? It's it's okay to be, to prescribe to an idea as a young astrologer and be like, actually,
Yeah,
I'm going to revisit this conversation and let you know, I've grown, I've learned a little bit more. This doesn't align with me anymore, and it's okay. But I love this idea also of honoring our legacy and thinking beyond just the now.
Mhm.
And I really admire that idea of also like this bigger picture and like the long stretch of our minds, our bodies, our ideas.
Mhm.
And for so long, I think, and I know it's still a lot of people that live in the now, right? And they're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking at 10 steps ahead or 10 years ahead. And I can understand, I could feel like that worry of potentially like, oh God, like how is this going to play out 10 years from now? Like, oh God, but also like honoring and like laying foundation for 10 years from now is really cool. It's like you're just honoring so many future versions. Yeah.
I really love the way that that is kind of a better way to view it. I like the way you put it in the sense that it's like you're more so laying the foundations and like trying to have more stable grounds. And that really does come hand in hand with like earth signs in general, like, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. Like that is something that earth signs have a proclivity to be really concerned with, is like stability, being pragmatic, what's going to be reliable, what's going to be giving us a stable foundation. Earth is what holds solid, and we can build on earth and we can build with earth. And so when you think about that astrologically with earth signs, that's what we're so concerned with, is like the foundations and being stable and grounded. So yeah, I love the way you put that. You kind of opened my mind to viewing my Virgo antics a little bit more positively.
Totally right. And like there's two sides to every coin here. So it's like I can understand like operating in one ideal for so long and being like, actually, like it's sometimes it does take another person. I'm not a Virgo. So I'm not saddled with this, like this
this nervousness for the future, or not even nervousness, but just like the thoughts being occupied of the future. And but yeah, it's like you're laying the foundations for who you're going to be in 10 years from now. And I'm sure like you'll get 10 years from now and look back on right now and be like, yeah, I don't agree. Or like, wow, like that was wrong, whatever. And that's okay.
And that's okay. That's the thing. I need to just be like, that's okay. And I think I am getting better with that now. Now that I'm like in my Saturn return era, like beforehand, I just kind of took every mistake and every like cringe-worthy thing in the past to be like kind of taking it on myself, like, oh, you need to be better and like you need to do this better next time. And like I know better now, and why didn't I know better then, kind of thing. But now that I'm in like deeply into my Saturn return era, it's more like kind of being more patient with myself and being kind of like, it is what it is. That's showbiz, like that's life.
That's showbiz, baby.
Showbiz,
Literally.
baby.
Literally. So we were just talking about earth signs, and my dad is a Virgo, and it's everything that you were talking about. It's like he just doesn't relate to that. Like he's not like he's not someone. I guess he's more preoccupied potentially with like the legacy of like his music career. My dad's a musician, but like I guess that would be like the only thing to me. Or like, and he's also a showman. So like I think of like another like another famous like Beyonce, like being like this Virgo like showman, like this performer. But like there's so many things about him that don't fall into that same category of like what a Virgo. How would you, I mean, I don't know if this is like just a novice question, but like how do you explain, or is there a way to explain the fact that like he just doesn't like there's not a lot of things that like relates. He doesn't relate. How does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, it's sounding like he's a Virgo sun, like his sun is Virgo. So if his sun is in Virgo, there's like a 1 out of 3 chance that he has his Mercury in Libra, and a 1 out of 5 chance he has his Venus in Libra. And Venus is the planet of performance and showmanship and beauty, aesthetics, music, art, like all those things. So if he does have Libra placements, Libra as a zodiac sign that's ruled by Venus, I would say maybe there's some relatability there for him, because our sun sign is one part of us. And maybe in his birth chart, he was born at nighttime, which would make him a little bit more relating to his moon sign more than his sun sign, because that can happen. That concept is called your sect light. So sect meaning different faction, and light being the luminary, so the sun and the moon. So me being born during the day, my sect light in my birth chart is the sun. So I do heavily relate to my sun in Virgo, and plus I have other Virgo placements. But someone who is born at nighttime they might relate more to their Virgo moon if they have a Virgo moon. So yeah, it might explain that if he only, especially if he only has just that one Virgo placement. Yeah, I would look at the other placements in his birth chart and see like the relatability that can be found in those other placements, because sometimes like our sun isn't the biggest part of our chart. Like that's something that a lot of people do believe. It's like the sun being radiant and being in the center of the solar system and what everything revolves around. People think like your sun sign should be the most relatable thing about you in your chart, but that's sometimes not always the case for everyone. So yeah, I would look at this other chart, please. I'd be interested to know
that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking of like he's a very irresponsible person, and like just like very immature, like very very like just like a kid. He's like a kid. He's always been like a kid my whole life growing up. And so it was like I was also thinking of like, and maybe again this is just like my very very minimal level of astrology, like meeting someone and being like, oh, I'm this, and then having my assumptions about their sign, whatever, and then them completely being opposite of and being like, oh, like I've often heard the word like you're an unevolved Scorpio or you're an unevolved da 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 or whatever to like to justify that they don't relate to their like
Yeah.
highest calling or being of their sign or whatever.
Evolved versus unevolved sign thing is a really funny it's really funny discourse for me personally. Like there's other ways to explain why someone might not relate to a certain placement in their chart. And also, like, there's no one way. I will go back to the original topic of your dad being a Virgo. There's no one way to be a Virgo. And there's a lot of like, maybe he doesn't relate to the stereotypes of Virgo. Those like natural, like stereotypical traits that you see, like those list of keywords, like when you Google Virgo. Maybe he doesn't relate to those things, but there's so many other ways to express Virgoan traits. And not every single part of Virgo is exactly the same as each other. So each zodiac sign is considered to be 30 degrees in length, and not every single one of those degrees are exactly the same in expression. So maybe got some other things going on in his chart that would help him relate to Virgo a little bit more. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, like you were talking about the crumb on the pie. Like there's so many other factors to it. And like I like that we touched on that topic at the beginning because it's so true. It's like when you're consuming, I feel like astrological content from like a layman like myself who just gets it from like an app or I see it on TikTok or I'm seeing it on, like obviously my Instagram is, algorithming in a way that speaks to my, my interests. And yeah, there's buzzwords, there's keywords, and you just kind of pick it up. And then it's a rhetoric that we just kind of parrot, and it's like, and again, that speaks to that, like, oh, it's so much bigger and deeper and more vast than just this, like commodifying or like, not even, I don't want to say cheapening, but like, watering down of the practice itself.
Yeah, 100%. I like that wording. It's definitely the watering down. In order to like package it in a neat, cute little commodified box, because it's like if you try to open the like box of complexities of each zodiac sign and each planet and all of astrology as a whole, like it's going to get real confusing real quick. It's going to get real esoteric real quick and people are going to walk away from it. But in order to commodify it thoroughly, you got to water it down. You got to take some things out that aren't going to fit in that box. So, I mean, I 100% get it. Like, I don't blame anyone who either is on the side of like the very cheapening, I think was a good word when you said earlier. I don't want to be rude, but the very like cheapened side of astrology, or if you're on the side of the person who's like astrology is stupid, it's fake, it's BS. Like I don't blame either of those groups of people because what we've been presented with, the astrology that we've been presented with, if we're not the ones doing the deep research ourselves and trying to find these answers of the ancient origins of astrology and where to even look for those things, then we're not going to find it. We're just going to be presented with this like very like bubblegum pop, like sun sign horoscope magazine astrology. And like, it leaves a lot to be desired.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. It leaves a lot to be desired. I keep thinking about yeah, like the type of astrology that is given to the masses. And also like, I don't know why, but my mind like ties this to this like rhetoric of like girlhood or like how people are like, oh, they're an astrology girly. And like, it's a way to like discredit this person for having this interest or like in society, I've noticed this conversation around like men being like, oh, you're into the stars. Like, oh, that's a girl thing and that's embarrassing and that's a whatever. And you're like, you don't even know the depths or the like truth or the roots of this practice. And like another way
like your mind would explode.
Yeah. Like, but it's just an interesting, like, it's just, I don't know why that's where my brain was going is like a way to discredit, someone for having this kind of interest when in reality, it's so much more vast than they could ever know.
Yeah, 100%. And that makes me think of something I recently saw on Instagram, where there was this quote unquote study, um, where they found a link between people who believe in astrology and narcissism and low intelligence. And then you actually click on the article, and like the sample size of the study is not adequate. It's like it was some straight up BS, and like it was very much pandering to the people who already hold so much disdain for this framework. It's not actually trying to find any real answers about astrology. It's not trying to uncover why people believe in astrology. I don't even like to use that terminology because I don't think it's something you can believe in, but why people believe in it. Not even trying to get to the bottom of it or give it a chance or understand like why they're astrological scholars. Like there's so much historical erasure of astrology. And I think that you're doing yourself and all of human history a huge disservice if you talk about history and any sort of philosophical conversation, astronomical, astrophysics, physics in general, mathematics, and where all these things come from. You're doing yourself a disservice if you omit the topic of astrology because it's all intertwined. And I think that study was hilarious because it was something that I passed by from someone who I think really wanted me in particular to see it. I was like, okay, what are you trying to say? Like, you have no idea how much your brain would break if you had all the knowledge, all the historical, philosophical, and astrological knowledge, ancient knowledge that I have of this practice. You don't realize how deep it goes, how complex it is. All you're seeing is this incredibly vapid, oh, you can be described by your zodiac, like your entire life, your entire character, your behavior, all the events in your life and the way you behave can all be fully encompassed by this one zodiac sign. And it is your personality trait. Like that's what they're seeing. And that's what they think astrology is as a whole. And they're not digging any deeper. And there's this lack of curiosity and lack of critical thinking that for me personally, I find really arrogant. It's like, how can you so heavily criticize something and feel so confident about this critique when you don't even know what you're critiquing? You don't know the full, you don't know, I think you know about like 5% of what you're critiquing. And I would just be personally embarrassed if I was in the shoes, if I was so heavily holding so much contempt and disdain and throwing vitriol at people for a framework, for believing, quote unquote, believing in a framework that I don't even know anything about. And I'm like so heavily critiquing it. And I haven't even tried to do my own research. I haven't tried to understand it in any sort of capacity. I've just decided that I'm above it. I'm superior to it. And anyone who believes in it is below me in intelligence. Their IQ is low and they're narcissistic. Like, that is just absolutely crazy to me. And if they want to live in that world of arrogance and false superiority, then good for them. Like, slay, I guess. But I find it to be very embarrassing and very concerning, like, truly. Anyways.
I had so many thoughts running through my brain as I was like listening to you. I was like, one, I love this conversation. I love your mind. I love the way, I just love how confident you are. I love also the fucking wreckage that you were just providing right now. It's embarrassing. It is in the narcissist. Like, oh my God. Like, I was like, yes, eat them up. Eat them up. Whoever this like fictitious person is, eat them up. Like, oh, I love that. But it's true. I feel like also that was like very rage baiting.
Thank
like,
you. I mean, it was very rage baity. And like, that's why I thought it was kind of funny because there were so many people in the comments like taking the bait. A lot of people who felt just very vindicated and like, see, look, there's a study, science, see. It was like, you click on the actual article, which like 2% of people actually do. And you see that the sample size for this quote unquote study is just absolutely inadequate and laughably just like, what are you trying to do? Like, what are you trying to do? And why? It feels very, it feels like there's an agenda that's trying to be served purposefully. It's like, don't believe in astrology. Like, stop believing it, or you're stupid, or you're narcissistic. And everyone these days is so terrified of being narcissistic, like on a clinical level. So it's like you see the word narcissism, and people are just like, oh crap, that can't be me. I got to stop believing in astrology. And I think that that's an agenda, and it's all by design. Personally, that's what I believe, because like people people in power use astrology. Billionaires use astrology. They don't want the masses, they don't want too many of us knowing how powerful and useful this tool is. Like, I can go on about this for hours, but like, I think this is all by design. I think that it is certainly an agenda behind it. It's yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, I see you. I see that train of thought. It makes sense to me. Yeah, like keeping it from out of the hands of the general populace to utilize, a powerful thing. Like that makes a lot of sense. And also, yeah, I do feel like it is like a kind of personal agenda behind that. Like what it felt like was like the reductress like article, or like have you heard of that account on Instagram where they're like, woman, cures depression by walking outside or whatever. And it's like the picture of the woman, like, or whatever. And that's kind of what that article feels like to me.
It was very like cartoonish. I'm like, are we being serious here? We have people in the comments being like, see, we're so right about astrology, like how stupid all of you are. It's like, no, bestie, this is not science. This is not real science. This study was not done in good faith. Like this is just, yeah, again, embarrassing.
No, you're totally fine. I love that so much. It's so interesting. I'm sure like it's probably like, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak to your experience, but I could only imagine like having like being like I'm a Reiki practitioner. So having like people argue amongst themselves about like the validity of Reiki or what it means or whatever, and being like, if you only knew how good it was for you and how much you could love it and how good it could beneficial it could be for you. Like I'm sure like there's so many times in your life where you're like, or whatever, like this like wanting to just like explode like a volcano and just like, you know what? I'm gonna let you have yours. Like you said, you're like, it's embarrassing what you feel and what you're thinking is embarrassing. And that's your journey. So I'm gonna go over here and stare at Orion's belt,
Honestly, like I have had those moments though. I've had like I know it I'm coming off as like being so above it and like, oh, those people just have no idea what they're talking about. I'm gonna move on and that's their journey and I'm on mine. I know that's how I'm coming off, but like I have certainly had those moments where I'm like, I so oh I just wish people knew. I just wish people knew. Like I don't want them to know because like again, I don't want astrology to fall into the wrong hands, but at the same time, like, I just wish people knew, like, you do not know what you do not know. You do not realize, oof, your mind, I just can't even describe, like, the way people's minds would absolutely shatter if they learned some of the things that, like, I have learned with this practice. And, this whole thing is something that I really do personally struggle with because I have my Mercury opposing Saturn very tightly opposed. It's partile opposition, and with Mercury Saturn aspects comes with Mercury being the planet of intellect and communication, conversation, and information and learning and study, et cetera, and then Saturn being the planet of struggle and doubt and misery and depression and melancholy and like the hardships of life, being downcast, being pulled down, limitations, restrictions, boundaries, those things. having these two planets in aspect for a lot of people manifests in a way that is like having a little bit of insecurity and doubt when it comes to your own intellect, or it can manifest as being incredibly meticulously careful about the things that you say and the things that you talk about and share. So that's, a big part of my life and life events and my personality and behavior. I'm a very intelligent person, and astrology is a big part of that intelligence. And the things that I've learned over the years has astrologically has only strengthened that intelligence. And for some people, not all people, obviously people like you are very receptive to it, which I appreciate. But for some people, they hear um, that I'm into astrology and they immediately make these assumptions about me and my intelligence and me and my personality. And I know I have no control over that, so I try to like not care. But at the same time, it's like, you think you're so much smarter than me because of this one thing, but you could not, we are not on the same level. You could not keep up with me philosophically, historically. Like, I could run circles around you, like the knowledge that I have. And I do, again, and now that I'm in my Saturn return era, I'm trying to like, or I have been actually the past year, getting so much better at like not over explaining myself and kind of letting people be wrong about me, letting people misunderstand me. But up until a year ago, that's something that I have struggled with my whole life, is like, you know, being triggered over being misunderstood. Like that, I will fight tooth and nail. I will over explain until my voice goes out in order to be understood. Is just the most important thing to me. But now that I'm on this Saturn return journey, I've started to get better about just letting people misunderstand me, letting people be wrong about me, not over explaining. So yeah, in these conversations, when people assume things about my intelligence, just because I'm into astrology, it is like gets under my skin a little bit, but I am getting a little bit better at handling it. I'm a lot better at handling it now than I was a year ago and previously. But yeah, I love that we're having this conversation because yeah, I'm coming off a lot more like composed about it than I usually would be. But a few days ago when I saw that article, I was like, this is so annoying. And why did this person have to post this on their story when they knew I was probably going to see it? That's so mean. That's so mean spirited. That's like nasty spirited. That is just mean spirited. But anyways,
I mean, I completely understand that. I think it's a part of the human experience to learn and to not allow people to soften your edges or water you down or just reduce you to one thing. And also that other part of that is to just let them if they do, and like not feel the need to, fix their ideal or save them or change their mind about you. And that's a
yeah.
hard lesson though. That's not like an overnight process. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just wake up and think like, oh, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me. You're like I think we're all here to be loved, and like understood at our core. And like there's, I think, a big desire of the human, just, I don't know, like the human quest is to understand each other and to get to a place of understanding between each other and without these assumptions. And yeah, maybe it's like, maybe that's a very like naive way of thinking about it, but like, yeah, like I can understand like that being a part of like, no, like that's not what this is. Like I am very smart and like wanting to defend yourself, and that makes, I get that. I feel the same way. I don't I internalize a lot of that to like, for me with like Black Magic Woman, like people will have opinions about things that I post or whatever. And like I don't like fight with people in the comments. I don't know if that's something like, I don't know, I just like let them, and I just look at that comment and then I think like, oh my God, like, that's so mean and so sad and my heart hurts, and like I'll just like kind of fester on that energy rather than like, I don't try to explain to them why they're wrong. It's just, I don't really have the energy to do that. But because yeah, there are people that are just going to commit to misunderstanding you and like not even have the wherewithal to want to
understand or, even learn something or expand. And that's where they're at. So we just got to let them be that, I
Mhm.
guess. But also, I was
Yeah.
curious to know if, like, you look at someone's chart and you see the way things play out, and then it creates like compassion for them. You're like, ah, that's why you are this way. And now I can like show you a little more compassion because you are, what I don't know even the terminology, but you're like Scorpio in your ninth house 4 times over. Looking real rough right there or whatever. And your Saturn looking real shitty, you know? How does that?
Yeah. Yeah, it precisely. That's an experience I've had a lot. Not in the sense where it's like when I'm in a situation with someone who's
Mhm.
wronged me and then I look at their chart and I'm like, "Oh, that's why they're mean." Like, no, not like that, but like it more so happens with like family members because I'm really close to family and like if there's a certain situation or a certain disagreement or this or that or the other, then I'll just be like, you know what? They don't have the capacity to understand this because of this reason, or they're able to understand this other thing because of this reason. And it goes both ways. It goes both positive and negative ways where I'm like, we're not on the same page because our moons are averse to each other, or we are really very much on the same page because our Mercury is trying each other. Like it happens in both negative and positive ways. It happens with family, with friends. Usually try not to do that with people like
Sure,
outside of
sure.
family and friends because it's like if someone was like mean to me like and just mistreated me, I don't even want to look at their birth chart. What the hell?
Yeah, you're like, I don't
Get
want
out
to
of
utilize my skills to figure you out. Like, I hate you. Yeah, literally. And that's fair.
yeah, like I'm not gonna like do that emotional mental labor of like trying to figure you out. You were mean to me.
You're like, I did nothing wrong here. I don't need this. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Do you ever find yourself, I guess maybe this is kind of with the assumption that it like it just comes out like it just like is a topic of like discussion, like you're out in the world and you're like, oh my gosh, like this thing is happening, or is it something that like comes up naturally for you, or do you feel like you just want to like share this knowledge with the person at the grocery store and like I don't know, like for me, like I'm thinking of like my like intuitiveness, if there's like a message that like sits in my throat, I need to like share it kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, I just have to get this out. Like, is that for you the same way that you would practice astrology? Is it more of like an invitational conversation, or how does it appear in your everyday life is I guess what I'm asking.
Yeah, for myself, it's very, very enmeshed in my everyday life. I would say it's very invitational when it comes to other people. Like I would never like unsolicited go up to someone and be like the moon is in your ninth house today, so I have to give you this message. Like that's not the kind of astrologer that I am. Some people are, and that's totally okay. I love that for them. But for me, it's very invitational. It's very like if someone asks me something, or if someone comes to me and is like, "Yo, I've been going through it, girl. What is going on with my chart? Can you give me some insight?" And then I'll answer their question. And it also kind of works that way in like social environments as well. Like astrology will come up, or a friend of mine will be like, "Oh, Aniah's an astrologer," and I'm like, "Oh my god, like don't embarrass me. Like I'm gonna have to talk about astrology right now. I'm just gonna totally like go off on a tangent, and everyone's gonna be looking at me like I'm a freak." And it always happens, but people end up loving it. People end up loving to hear about astrology, which is always a relief because I know as soon as the topic of astrology comes up, I'm just like off to the races, and there's no shutting me up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it happens a lot in like social situations in that sense where people will mention their zodiac sign, and I'm just like, "Oh, well, what's your big three?" And then I'll share mine, and then it kind of goes off in that way. But I'm never in a situation like in a grocery store, and I'm like, "My God, like, what's your moon sign?" Like, it's I no, I just hey stranger, like tell me your personal information.
You're like, give me your social security. Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, what's your mother's maiden name? Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah. And your first pet and the street you grew up on when you were a child in your youth.
Exactly.
Just trying to learn some things.
Divulge.
Ridiculous. That's so funny. Yeah, literally. You're like, I know you don't know me, and these tangerines are looking so juicy, but you know.
Yeah. I wish I was a little bit more extroverted like that. Because I know that there's a lot of people who I probably pass by who are super into astrology and love to talk about it. But you know, unless someone asks, I would never do that.
Yeah, I respect that. I think it's a consent thing too, and it's like it's an
Yeah.
exchange of your energy, and I'm sure like you're protecting what you have, and it's not just something that you like. Yeah, it's not a party trick. You don't go around the store, oh this, that, and the third or whatever. Just you're trying to
Yeah,
exist like everybody else. You're just trying to get through the day like everybody else.
literally.
But yeah, I love. Do you remember or do you know that scene in SNL with Kristen Wiig where she's at this like dinner party and they're at the piano and it's like John Hamm at the piano and she's like, "Don't make me sing," and like no one's asked her to sing, right? Everyone and she's like, "Don't make me sing," and they're
Don't make me
like, "No
sing.
one's asking." And you were like, she's like, "Don't make me dance, don't make me sing." And they're like, "No one asked you, Joanne. No one asked you to sing." And it's like that same energy at this party. And they're like, and then astrology, and you're like, "Don't make me do it. Don't make me."
Oh my
Oh
God. That's so
Here
funny. I
I
know
go.
exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about too. But it's so
Classic and amazing.
funny.
So I wanted to also ask you, because I feel like with astrology, obviously, like you said, it's this vast study, right? It's something that you forever are learning. How would you say, how important is it for you to honor the student in your journey thus far? Because like I think there's so much to know, right? And it's like, and it probably doesn't change. I don't really know. I mean, you can probably enlighten me better. But like, how does that role of being a student play out for you?
Yeah, I am a student of astrology and will be for the rest of my life. There's just like absolutely no way to know everything. Just like I said before, it's just like such a huge part of human history since the beginning of human history. Like it's so vast, and there's no way I could ever learn everything about this framework. But I'm happy. I'm happy to be a forever student. I love that. And I've gotten more into trying to call myself a studying astrologer instead of just like I'm an astrologer, traditional astrologer, because it highlights the fact that I will, be a student of this practice forever, and I don't have all the answers. And um, a lot of my audience on TikTok, I do feel like they kind of treat me like an authority figure when it comes to astrology, which is not exactly something that I'm super comfortable with. I'm honored by it and humbled by it incredibly, but absolutely not an authority figure, an astrology authority figure. I am a student of this beautiful practice, and I will be forever. I have people I look up to. I don't have all the answers, and there's been times when I've been tagged in other astrology content creators' videos, and they'll tag me and they'll be like, "What are your thoughts on this? Like, is this true? Can you verify this?" And I'll give my thoughts and opinions on whatever the other astrology content creator is saying. But I also just want to make it clear to them, like, this is just my opinion. I'm a traditional astrologer, so I'm of a different opinion of modern astrologers. I'm of a different opinion of this sort of astrologer, that sort of astrologer. So this is literally just my own perspective. I'm not saying that unquote right perspective. So I think it really does, saying that I'm a studying astrologer really does highlight like I don't have all the answers and I'm not perfect. And again, going back to earlier when I was talking about like looking back at some of my old content and cringing, that's something that I know I'm going to keep doing if TikTok lasts, if it doesn't get banned, knock on wood.
Right.
In a few years' time, video now, and think the same things that I think about the videos I made a few years ago, even though I am so proud of the content that I've put out there in the past year. And I look back at some of my old videos and I'm like, damn, I ate that. Like I ate that up. Like what's 4+4? But I know that in a few years, I'm going to be like, girl, you thought you ate. Like you thought you ate with that one, but you didn't. And that's okay. Like, you know, just like we were saying before, it's it's okay to grow, and that's just part of being a human. But again, like I really just want to stress to people like, yeah, studying astrologer, not perfect, don't have all the answers. I'm just doing the best I can.
And that is all we ask of you. So I wanted to pose this other question to you, just because I feel like you have such a keen sense of who you are and what you're about, and that really excites me. And it's just like so cool to get to be in community. What is your favorite self-care act? Like, how do you take care of yourself? I know you said you take your little hiatuses, but like, what do you do in those hiatuses? How do you tend to yourself?
I love to journal. As a mercurial person, mercurial meaning of Mercury, I think it's really important I think it's important for everyone to journal, but especially for me in the way that my mind works and like just how I find myself reflecting at the end of the day or the end of a week. I find it really helpful to get the thoughts out daily, instead of waiting for the end of the week and the end of the month and being like, ooh, I don't really exactly know how I feel about that situation, or I don't like how I'm regulating right now or processing certain things. And I think that it's really nice to like have that time with myself every single day, for the past 4.5 years now, that I've been journaling consistently every single day. So yeah, that's something that I do. And I think it's been really helpful for me with just evaluation and reflection, and also just to like really like synthesize astrologically, really like, because I write down the exact time that I start and finish my journal, and the day and the date, of course. And if I'm ever thinking like I want to be in my studious moment, you know, I can go back and be like, what was going on astrologically when I wrote this? And then I can compare my journal to what was going on in the sky and be like, okay, so this moment is a reflection of sorrow, or this moment is a reflection of happiness, and this moment is a reflection of lethargy or apathy or whatever. And it really helps me be a better astrologer, actually. So yeah, I would say journal.
That is, yes. We are big journal girlies in this house. There was a period of time during 2020 where I was journaling like 3 or 4 times a day, like throughout the day. Like I would stop, I would process something, and then like come back like a couple hours later and be like, 2:37. All right, we're revisiting. Like I got more feelings. I gotta say something else until
Love
the day was
it.
finished. Yeah. Yeah, we love to express. We love to be expressed in this house. So yes, journal girlies unite.
Yes. Love that.
What are you currently working on right now? Is there any like special projects? Is there something that you want to like shamelessly plug? Or
I
yeah,
do have
yay.
a couple of projects in the air, you know, being a mutable individual, always got a lot of balls in the air, juggling a lot of different things in my head. Um, I do have I'm not ready to share them yet.
That's okay.
Not just because they're not finished, but also because I just know that I have so many other projects that I want to put out first, probably. And I'm not exactly sure which one it is yet. So I'm just keeping my cards close to my chest. But I am working on stuff, and I do eventually want to provide some more like static content, for my audience, instead of just, you know, the short form TikTok 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute videos. Because, you know, it goes really fast, and you have to go fast on TikTok. And sometimes people just like your video and they're like, oh, that's interesting, leave a comment, and then it flies out of their head and then they move on. So I think that some people, not everyone learns in that way.
Right.
And I think that, people are wanting a little bit more from me in terms of like static content and like releasing more, um, content like that. So yeah, I am working on some things.
Well, we'll be looking out for those things because we are fans, like we said, and yeah, there's just so much that we can learn. And personally, you're my favorite teacher, so love that for us.
Oh, thank you so
It's
much. That's
true.
so
I mean
kind.
it. So yeah, it's like I don't know. I really love the way your brain thinks. Like it just really like intrigues me and it excites me. And like even just having this conversation, like I'm like, oh my, like there's so many parts of my brain that are just like
Wow.
lighting up right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we could talk for literally 6 hours and I want to hear everything that you have to say. Like it's just very exciting. So yeah, we'll be on our lookout. We'll be ready for you and your static, your static posts.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm so humbled by that. That's so kind of you to
Oh,
say.
we are fans. We are fans.
Thank
And
you.
of
Thank you.
course. So last question here. Where can people find you? Where your handles? What socials are you on?
Yeah, so I'm Illuminiah. Everyone, I don't say everyone, but a lot of people think my God-given name is Illuminiah, which I think is so funny. But my name is Aniah, okay? But I am Illuminiah on all platforms: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok is my main like operating um, platform where I make the most content and talk the most about astrology. Secondly, it would be Twitter. I do a lot of like shit posting of, like my random astrological thoughts, my streams of consciousness, just random astrological things that come to me. Not as linear as my TikTok content, but if you want to follow me on there, it's Luminia. On Instagram, it's just me, my personal account, my social, just my life, nothing super astrological. I have two astrology highlights for my stories on my profile. So if anyone wants to go through those, I talk about astrology a little bit on Instagram, but not too much. But yeah, Illuminaya.
Perfect. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. So if anybody's interested, do you do birth chart readings? Do you do yeah, tell me about some of the hi.
Hi, cat.
Thank you so much. The cat is giving me a little bit of love right now. All up in my grill. Hi, thank you so much. She's a lover. For some of, do you offer services? Do you offer readings? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I do consultations.
Okay.
I have a day job, and your girl's been busy lately, like, trying to figure out a work-life balance.
Yeah.
But I'm looking to open up my consultations again soon, hopefully in less than a month, but we'll see how that goes. But I do a consultation, birth chart consultations, yes. Would love to talk to more people about their birth charts soon. I've just been so busy, but it is my favorite thing to do. So I'm trying to be better at like prioritizing that. But yeah, I have a Snipfeed link where you can find my consultations. So it'd be snipfeed.co/Illuminia, and then all my links to my socials and my links to my consultations show up through that link. So yeah. You're interested.
Perfect.
That's where you can find them.
Amazing. Thank you so much again, Aniah, for being here. And
Thank you.
I know we didn't really have any prior knowledge of each other before this conversation, and I'm so excited that we kind of just went into it a little bit blind just to kind of see how it would unfold.
Yeah, we did.
I love that. And this is such a knowledgeable and intentional conversation. It's so thorough and it just got teased out with so many different aspects. And that's what we love here. It's just like something that people can kind of take away and like gnaw at it. And I just love that. So thank you so much for being a part of this and being open and wanting to do this. You're so knowledgeable and so funny. And you're fucking 4+. You said you're 4+4. You're like, what's 4+4? I was like, like that's so funny.
I love hearing that. I'm funny. Thank you.
You are funny. You're making me laugh, and I love it. And I so appreciate you being and taking time on your your day to be with us. So thank you again. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really special to me, and this was a great conversation, and your questions were very, very mindful. Probably like the most like well thought out questions I've ever experienced on like this setting. So
thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You are,
and thank you. Shout out Maddie.
Maddie, our queen. Maddie, our queen.
Slay.
So much slay.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Take What You Need, the podcast. I was so excited to have her and to be able to just dive a little bit deeper into what astrology really is and to have like a bit of a deeper meaning to it. I hope that you're able to find some good knowledge here and just laugh with us and enjoy this really fruitful conversation. And remember to watch the stars, honor the teachings, and go ask your mom what time you were born. Take What You Need, the podcast was created by Lexi Bordeaux and Madeline Doss. Original music and production by Madeline Doss. If you enjoyed this episode, please add it to your library, follow the show, leave us a review, and send it to a friend. It's the best way to spread the healing that you just heard. I invite you to join on Patreon. Patrons of Take What You Need enjoy exclusive updates, minisodes, shoutouts on the show, Reiki sessions, and more. Go to the show notes for the link as well as all the links for our socials. This is a Bad Cat Audio Podcast.